Hi, folks. Welcome to this discussion on the best practices for working from home. We are all now virtually connected, and we are also forced to connect from home as well. So, we thought that we can discuss on some of the best practices on working from home and give you some tips and techniques as well. To do that, I have with me Ms. Rinu Abraham, and my name is George Koshi. Rinu, over to you, Rinu.
Yeah, hi, George. Definitely a discussion like this is the need of the hour. And I was just thinking about the whole scenario of working from home and how it must feel for many of our colleagues. So, working from home, if you see, can be a choice for many and even a privilege sometimes. But for some of our colleagues, it is quite inevitable right now. And one of the challenges that probably our colleagues might be facing right now is how do you consistently maintain your focus when you're working from home?
Yeah, that becomes a challenge. We all have been conditioned working from office, and when you are asked to connect from home, it becomes a kind of a challenge to actually give that focus. There could be various reasons. One is we have a dedicated workspace at office, and we have people to help us as well. But then at home, that's not the case. So one way to really keep that focus is by having a dedicated workspace. So when I say a dedicated workspace, we got to be consistent with our work surroundings, and so we become so used to the surroundings as well. And this also making ensuring the space to be quite comfortable as well also would help, like having a very good chair, an ergonomic chair where your sitting posture and things like that would really help you out in this in working from home. Uh, and you can take I'm not saying that we should have a separate office as a dedicated office like the small office, home office setup. Not necessary, but then we can take a corner of the bedroom like the one that I have chosen now, or even the corner of a living room. The most important thing is, it is better to be away from the kitchen and the TV where you have a lot of distractions. So when you do all these things, like have a kind of a dedicated workspace, and when you make the space quite comfortable, your chosen workspace would help you in focusing and doing your best at work. You'll become more productive and even effective at work. That's what I
Sure,
think.
George. So I think to have a consistent workspace that you can always come to when you begin your work is really important, and definitely ensuring that the seating, the height of the table and chair, everything is quite comfortable. And this would definitely probably aid in keeping or maintaining your focus throughout your work day.
So, we talked about having a dedicated workspace, and I know that you've been working from home the last 1 year, and I don't know, it must be a kind of a feeling that I also feel the same, that while you work from home, there's it can be a little overwhelming, like too many things to do at home and at work as well. So how do you manage such kind of a feeling?
Surely, George. So, one practice that I have learned from working at home for the past 1 year is to actually schedule my work time. And by scheduling my work time, I mean to have a structure to the tasks that I want to accomplish in that particular day, and giving a structure and also segmenting those tasks all throughout the day. And one thing that helps me do that is probably to keep a reminder or an alarm, even that reminds me how much of time that I have left to complete a particular task and when should I begin the next task. And this sort of practice actually helps me work well, and it does not become very overwhelming at the end of the day. And I know how much I've accomplished and how much is left to accomplish, and probably that I can move it on to the next day.
Yeah, you're right. The structuring definitely helps. Apart from the to-do list, what are some things that you're going to work on, and also giving some time period. Kind of a segment. All these things also would help, and there are many tools available for us also to keep these things going. Like alarms and various tools that are available within within the office setup that you have, like your Outlook and things like that. What you're saying is right, perfectly right. Yes, so yeah, that's right. So when you're talking about scheduling a work, dedicated workspace, there's one more thing that comes to my mind is like, and I again, I feel very lethargic sometimes, because you're at home, getting up late, and all those things happen, right? So it's a kind of feeling that you're not very alert while you're working. So what do you do at that kind of when you have that kind of a feeling?
Correct. When you don't have this urgency to get up and be at office at a particular point of time, it can become quite lethargic. So what I have learned is to sort of dress for work or do the same activities that you would do when you are going for work. So you just get up in the morning and have your breakfast and have a cup of coffee and do the same activities that you would usually do if you were going to work. And it also adds or helps if you have a sort of a casual work wardrobe and ensure that you're not taking your meetings or your training sessions in your pajamas. So having that whole entire outfit also helps you to have a good posture, and it reflects in even your tone when you are in between a meeting.
Definitely, yes. So you're saying have the same routines that you have when you're going to work, like, be prepared. The same things that you do, like the dress for work is very, very important. And having a casual work wardrobe also would help, is what you're saying. Perfectly right. All right.
For sure. So just one thing that I have to probably ask you is that it sometimes becomes very difficult to get away from work, right? You have this need for being available all of the time. So how do you think you can stop yourself from being in front of your laptop all of the time?
Yeah, that becomes a kind of a compulsive disorder many times. It's being in front of the system all the time. So what I do is take enough breaks. I think taking breaks is something which is very, very important while you're working from home. So when I say take breaks, you got to schedule those breaks as well. It could be your tea, coffee breaks, or even lunch breaks. Have those extended lunch break. It's very, very important. Apart from that, I do something which is very, very specific to me, is that I use, see, and under the table I have a dumbbell as well, so you can actually take and do some small exercise and some push-ups as well. So these things, if you take the right breaks, it would really help, is what I feel.
That's quite interesting, George, especially the exercising bit. It can be quite a good tip for many of our colleagues there. So it's important to schedule and have timely breaks and also probably step away from the laptop while you are having those breaks. And I sometimes find myself doing that, like grab a cup of coffee and then come back to my laptop. So neither am I enjoying my coffee, nor am I probably focusing well on the task that I. So
it can help your eyes also.
All right, for sure, for sure.
Correct. Yeah.
So apart from taking breaks, this is one probably confession that I have to make, is that sometimes we all are quite tempted to continuously look at our phones of all the notifications that probably Facebook is throwing up, or you look at one tweet and then you go down the whole rabbit hole of tweets. So what are some of the things that you can do to stop us from being distracted or being tempted to look at our phones or the television at some point of time?
this is this is something that we also face at work. I mean, not just at home. The first thing that we have to do is avoid distractions, all kinds of distractions. Now we know that Facebook and Twitter and all those things are bottomless pages. Probably you can keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling forever. So one thing that you have to do is like you have to turn off notifications from all these softwares, and that would help you in like not getting distracted. And like I told you earlier, it is better even at home to sit away from TVs, and so that you don't get that kind of they get tempted to go and watch that in the middle as well. So one more thing that you can do is like you have to differentiate between housework and your office work. So you can put off some of your home and work that you do at home a little later, maybe after work. So avoid distractions completely and put off turn off the notifications. That's what you should do.
Sure. So I think that's one tip that I'm going to definitely take is to make sure my phone is either on silent or just turn off all the notifications from all the social networking sites that I'm part of. And sitting away from your television would be good as well, because you might not be very close to the remote, and you might not have that temptation of just putting on the 20 minutes of the Netflix show that you have to watch. And having keeping your household chores for after your work timing also would definitely help.
Rinu, we talked about avoiding distractions and taking breaks during work from home. One of the things that has been a challenge is, I like face-to-face discussions, and so it becomes a kind of a challenge, when you're connecting from home to have that face-to-face discussions. So I'm sure you are a millennial. You would love to have those virtual kind of a connection, virtual discussions. So how do we stay connected when you're working from home? Imagine that you're connecting at office. You'll have you can just walk into somebody's cabin or a cubicle, but then when you're working from home, it is kind of a difficulty. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, it can be quite challenging, George, but I think some of the tools that we have right now definitely allows us to keep in touch even virtually with our teams who are located in different places, like different parts of the world or even different time zones. So I don't think work per se is now constrained to only a physical space. It is definitely moving virtual and more so even now. So the only thing is that it's important to continue maintaining that regular communication with your team. So just because you're virtual does not mean that you should not keep in touch with your colleagues. You can go back to your traditional way of just picking up the phone and calling your colleague, or you can use so many tools that we have right now, like Microsoft Teams, which in itself has so many features that allows us to keep in touch with our colleagues, have group chats even, share files. All that becomes really, really simple. Or if you want to have a larger meeting, you can use Cisco WebEx or Zoom for having your regular weekly meetings, or even a learning session like this right now is becoming extremely easy and simple. But the key is to actually continue to collaborate with your virtual teams and continue to maintain that communication with them.
Correct. So in fact, we at Servion, we use Microsoft Teams extensively now, and I think it is more important to go for video chats instead of just audio chats, and we can look at the people and then speak. So that's one good thing as well. And nowadays we have the Netflix kind of a learning, it's called the LXP, Learning Experience Platforms. I believe those things really would help. Even the Zoom, it's free, and nowadays organizations have started using Zoom and WebEx for connecting, and discussing many things. So what you said, it's what is more important are the latest tools that are available for virtual communication. Well said, yeah. You can do a summary on what we have discussed so far, Rinu.
Sure. So I think in today's discussion, we've touched upon six really important points, from having a dedicated workspace to scheduling your work time, and doing simple things like even dressing as if you were going for work, um, taking good breaks in between so that you're not overwhelmed by the work that you're doing. And again, don't get carried away with breaks. Make sure that you avoid those distractions or those notifications from your social media accounts that you are bombarded with. And also, it's very, very important to stay connected with your virtual team and keep them posted at all times by using some of the latest tools that we have right now with us.
Okay, all right. That's it was a very interesting discussion that we had. I think we should have more such discussions on various topics, whether it's technology or things like this. I think it is pretty interesting. We can come up with various thoughts, and I believe people would be using these tips and techniques and some of the best practices that we have shared here, and make work from home more productive and effective as well.
Sure, Jod, thank you so much. It was a nice
Thank you,
discussion.
thank you, Renu. Thanks,
Bye.
Renu. Thank you so much.